Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. We produced a show called Shocking Proof Reveals that LeBron James was 100% behind the Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic Lakers trade. That video got a lot of people talking. We got about 80,000 views so far, 1,500 comments, and people are still chiming in. And a lot of people are essentially saying, Charles, I told you so. I told you so, man. He knew. Because initially, when the story broke, I was quite skeptical of LeBron's involvement, just kind of listening to what was being told, right? Dave McMenamin said that LeBron found out about the Anthony Davis trade while at dinner, and then AD called him and all of that. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but a lot of people were saying, nah, bro, son knew. Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes came out there and they said they believe that he knew. Then recently, Anthony Davis came out there and said he believes that more people knew about it. So we produced this show yesterday that was centered on some Marcus Morris comments. Now, Marcus Morris is the twin brother of Markieff Morris, who plays with the Lakers. And essentially what Marcus Morris Sr. was doing was he was describing the play-by-play, moment to moment of how his brother got traded. And then he took us behind the curtain to basically say that, look, he knew that essentially LeBron James requested for Markieff to be a part of the trade. And we were like, wait, how did LeBron request for Markieff to be a part of the trade when he knew nothing about it? And that one just shook up the whole internet. So for those of you who didn't hear that, we want to play that for you now, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what was said there.
Your brother Markieff got traded there.
Yeah.
What was the reaction between you guys when you found that out?
Crazy story, man. We just so happened to be on the phone late night one day. You know, we've talked a lot. You know what I mean? We talk basketball, we talk sports, we talk our podcast, you know what I'm saying? So we do sports betting a lot, not NBA, but college, you know, NFL. So, you know, we were just going over the games or like nightly thing. He just landed or whatever. And just this particular night, we just was chopping it up about hoop. And I'm like, man, like, how y'all doing over there in Dallas? Like, you think y'all gonna make any trades? And that was crazy because that was the real conversation. I'm like, you think y'all gonna do something? And I'm not gonna tell you who he said was gonna get traded, but he like, yeah, it's going X, Y, and Z. Those guys, they gonna get traded. That's what they looking at. You know, we're looking to upgrade. And for some reason, he just took like a pause and he like, bro, the GM just texted me. I'm like, he just texted you. What did he say? He like, no, this can't be real. And I'm like, what happened? So he told me like, basically, you know, he's been traded. So I'm like, you've been traded? Like, how? Why? To who? Like, why would they even trade you? You're not playing. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, everybody knew the leadership that he brought to Dallas. So it was like, it didn't even make sense, right? So he like, just let me give you a call back. So I'm like, all right, cool. So now I'm sitting there with my wife, and I'm like, damn, they just traded Keith. I think he might retire, actually. Because he was telling me, like, man, I can't do this no more. Like, he just bought a house in Dallas, right? So he was just doing that, and he was just like, man, it's just too much at this point. I'm not even playing. It's like I'm almost babysitting at this point. So he was like, I'm done. I don't even care where I'm going to. 3 minutes later, he called me back. He said, bro, Luka Doncic has just been traded. And I'm like, what the can I curse?
Yeah, you can
I'm
curse.
like, what the how is Luka Doncic traded? Like, does that even make sense? So now when he said the Lakers, I said, you going to the Lakers, right? He said, hell yeah, I'm going to Lakers. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, you know, you might just have won another championship. Like, literally, you really might just have won a championship. And the part about it that I think a lot of people don't see is that Keith and Luka has a really good relationship, like a really good relationship. So I think that they probably noticed that and they wanted, you know what I mean, Luka to feel better, to go into a new place where you have somebody that's, you know, that's been a teammate. Also, Dorian Finney-Smith, he's been a teammate of him. And then Max Kleber, you know, he's been injured, so no one really talking about him. I think the dynamic of that really helped, and also Keith played there. So the Lakers really wanted him to come. Brian asked for him to come. So it was like the dynamic, once I sat and back and thought about it, I was like, it actually might help your career now. It might give you a breath of fresh air. We're doing a little media thing with the podcast, so it might actually help, right? And The entire time, I just couldn't put my finger on why the would they trade Luka Doncic.
Have you had any clarity since then?
I didn't. I really don't. And I still, this is no disrespect to any of the players. Like Anthony Davis is a really good player, really good career. I don't think that match. I just didn't think it matched.
Okay, excellent. So today, Mitch sends over a topic. We already had some topics, but Mitch is like, here's some more. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So he sends over this topic from the website called essentiallysports.com with the following headline that reads, Dwight Howard seemingly confirms LeBron James' involvement in Luka Doncic trade amid Lakers star father's confession. And I was like, yo, the hits just keep coming. Okay, so let's get into the article. It says, what seemed like a simple Luka Doncic Anthony Davis swap between the Mavs and the Lakers might not have been as straightforward because according to some, LeBron was pulling the strings all along. Fox analyst Colin Cowherd didn't just make this up. He pieced together the chaos in Dallas from AD's struggles to Kyrie Irving's season-ending injury and landed on one conclusion. LeBron saw it coming. One of the things that LeBron has, and I have never seen it like it, is intuition. A guy that can see problems before they happen. Cowherd said, well, Colin might have been correct. Dwight Howard weighed in on the shocking Doncic trade, admitting he was initially surprised until he remembered who the Lakers had leading the way during the live broadcast of the Lakers versus Magic game. I was very surprised for a second, Howard said, but then I realized they had LeBron James on their team. So anything is possible with LeBron on your team. DH credited the Lakers for their smart move acquiring a player who does everything on the floor. The trade sparked plenty of discussion between Howard's takes and reflects on common sentiment when LeBron is involved. So basically the article said that. So essentially, Dwight Howard is also hinting that LeBron was involved with it. He also had described recently a situation that occurred when they were teammates where LeBron was not playing defense or whining about something. Dwight Howard essentially said, man, stop acting like a B. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he was shipped out of town, right? A lot of people always, anyway, I'm going to digress. But a lot of people always saying that to LeBron. I don't know why. You know what's funny? Let me just crack a quick joke here of the Roach Motel, the cockroach room. Y'all know who that is. So this dude is such a LeBron James nut hugger that he went out there and said, nobody wants to smoke with LeBron James in the NBA. Nobody wants to fight LeBron James in the NBA. Everybody's afraid of LeBron James. Then somebody writes in the comment section, what about Isaiah Stewart? You know what this dude said? Yeah, LeBron James punched him in the mouth. He punched him in the mouth, and he didn't want no smoke with LeBron. I'm like, what? This dude believes that LeBron, he thought LeBron be scared. Nobody's ever given that smoke to LeBron James. Everybody's afraid of LeBron James. We're like, okay, buddy, whatever makes you feel good. But anyway, back to what Dwight Howard is saying. At this point, man, we all know what it is, man. You know, we all know what it is. It's quite transparent at this point. Everybody's pretty much seeing through this entire act, man. Like, everybody's seeing through it. Of course, a lot of people out there, they're just twerking it up, hiding what's really going on. For whatever reason, they're doing it. But too many people are now confirming. Like, yo, son, you did your man greasy. But hey, what can you expect, man? What can you expect? As you guys know, ESPN is the Lakers LeBron James network. That's all they promote. They even brought in Carlos Boozer, and they're already up there trying to get him to twerk, right? This is something that Charles Barkley has complained about a lot. As a matter of fact, he said that they got all them fools over there at ESPN, and when we go over there, we're going to become fools like them too. So that's going to be pretty interesting. But this is something that a lot of people have noticed, right? So they've been promoting them. The Lakers have won 8 games in a row at one point, and they were looking pretty solid. And then they started losing games. And, you know, now they find themselves in a situation where they've lost 3 games in a row. They're tied for losses with the Nuggets, Nuggets and Grizzlies. So they're still moving up and down in the standings there. And they just came off of a pretty bad loss last night to the Orlando Magic. on the road in a game in which the Lakers gave up 118 points to Franz Wagner. He got 32 points. Paolo Banchero, he had 30 points. Wendell Carter Jr., he had 12 points. You had Anthony Black, who I believe came off the bench. He had 17 points. And it was just a pretty bad game from a defensive standpoint, and they dropped another game, right? Because the Lakers are playing games. They won 3 games in a row that they started load managing and doing all kind of nonsense, something that the Clippers used to do, and then, it's going to be fine. We ain't got to worry about it, blah, 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 blah. So what happened? This morning I came across a clip here from Get Up, and they were talking about the state of affairs with the Lakers now after they've dropped their 3rd consecutive game, and they were talking about do they need to be alarmed, or is this kind of like just a one-off thing? And to no one's surprise, all of a sudden ESPN is now ringing the alarm bells and talking about we need to be worried about the Lakers. So for those of you who didn't hear what these guys had to say, I want to play it for you now. I want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what these guys had to say here.
So, Booze, we do something on the show that we call bad game or bad sign. This is now 3 straight losses, so we'll call it bad stretch or bad sign for the Lakers.
I got bad stretch. I mean, I do think we're talking about, he'll go on the numbers in a little bit, but I do think the reason why they had this great jump from like 7th, 8th to 2nd seed, now they're in the 4th seed, was their defense. But they're giving up too many points. They gave up 70 points in the paint to the Bulls, 146 points. Last night they had a 41-15 stretch where Orlando just took the game over, ran away with it, had a nice 10 or 12 point cushion. They can't get stops when they have to get stops right now, and that's what's concerning, because if you go into the playoffs, as we all know, you got to get stops to advance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a bad sign, but it's fixable here. And because they showed you when they defend, they can win at a high level. First in defensive efficiency in that stretch of games, 20th since March 2nd here. And if you're not going to defend, you're going to lose in the first round. But that's the small margin for them. Either you can bounce in the first round or you can get to a Western Conference Finals. Minus 46 in transition points allowed the last 3 games. And if you're not getting back on defense, you're not talented enough. As good as Luka and LeBron are, the surrounding parts are not talented enough offensively for you to have a lapse like that.
So, Booze, I haven't had you here since this trade, which obviously was of seismic proportion, kind of shook up the entire league when it happened. So from sort of a 35,000-foot view, LeBron plus Luka in L.A., what does that mean? How good can this team be?
Awesome. I mean, great move by Rob Pelinka getting Luka there. He's 25 years old. He's a first-team All-NBA player every year. I think these are the 2 most cerebral guys with the ball in their hand. They think the game. They make the right play for each other. They make the right play for their teammates. They do a good job of scoring. They'll figure out how to play together. It's the rest of the pieces. Austin Reeves has been an outstanding 3rd piece to me. I think he's dynamic. I think he's untouchable as far as the rest of those guys. If Rui can get back to playing as well as he was, Vanderbilt defensively. I love what Hayes has done since he's been there. He's been a very formidable big for them. The rest of the pieces can figure it out. These 2 guys can play together.
Hey, look, styles make fights, and this first round in the Western Conference playoffs, it's just going to be about the matchups. It doesn't matter. The numbers next to the teams aren't going to wind up mattering that much outside of OKC.
Well, I'll say something just because looking back into my days in New Jersey, like I would almost rather have the Lakers be the 6th seed than be in that 4-5 range and face Oklahoma. I know we're looking ahead, but to avoid Oklahoma City in round 2, to basically get your shot at Houston or maybe even Memphis or Denver in that 3-6. I know they haven't played well against Denver,
right.
But I think I would rather go that way than be in that 4-5 range. Even if they can win games on the road.
Right.
So you heard what they had to say. If you listen carefully, just to show you how much this network twerks it up all day long, they were like, and the Lakers have proven that they can win games in a row. Really? The Lakers have proven that they can win games in a row when their road record is 15-19. The twerking that goes on at ESPN is something vicious. They just be up there twerking it up. Talking about they have a 15-19 record on the road. And you're talking about they're capable of winning games on the road. Based off of what? Capable of winning games based off of what? Let me tell you guys what I think is happening. ESPN, they twerk it up so heavy for the Lakers that what happens is that they win 3-4 games in a row. They end up promoting them to the high heavens. But the minute they lose 2 or 3 games or 4 games in a row, all of a sudden now the sky is falling. And then the viewers who buy into their nonsense end up going through this emotional roller coaster because they don't really understand what is going on. Is a team good? Is they bad? Well, I don't know. What they're saying this, they're saying that. So nobody really knows. The fact of the matter is this. If we're looking at the Western Conference landscape and we're looking at teams that we need to pay attention to, the fact is this. The best team in the Western Conference is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Then you have the Houston Rockets. Now, granted, people are not going to give OKC and the Rockets the benefit of the doubt because they haven't proven it yet. Fantastic. They're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Denver Nuggets because they've done well. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the Golden State Warriors because they're still the Golden State Warriors. They still have Stephen Curry. The addition of Jimmy Butler has been a boon for them. I think that's something that's going to work. And I've also given the Lakers the benefit of the doubt. But what they're doing is not only are they giving the Lakers the benefit of the doubt, they're promoting them as if, oh, they're right up there with OKC. They're right up there with OKC. Well, when was the last time you seen OKC had lapses like this? OKC is a legitimate team. They're one of the best offenses in the NBA, the best defense in the NBA by a wide margin. They're not even in the same universe. OKC is 31-5 on at home and 28-7 on the road. They're not in the same universe. But this is what happens when you over twerk. You end up spraining your ankles from all of that twerkation, and now you got to come on TV and walk it back. And I can guarantee you, yesterday, which was Monday, is the day, one of the 2 days that Shannon Sharpe usually makes an appearance on ESPN First Take. He's usually there on Mondays and Tuesdays. So yesterday was him, Stephen A. Smith, and Carlos Boozer. And of course, they were talking about the Lakers, and they were talking about the game that the Lakers lost to the Chicago Bulls at home. It was a pretty bad loss. I think they lost by 28 points or something like that. They lost pretty handily. So they were reacting to that game. But of course, you know, Shannon Sharpe, he's always going to kind of act like as if nothing is wrong. He said, man, you know, Lakers in five. I ain't got nothing to worry about. And Stephen A. Smith was there just kind of like looking at him like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? So going into that game, going into yesterday, last night, the Lakers were slated to play against the Orlando Magic. And at that point, I believe the Lakers were the number 4 seed in the Western Conference, right? And they had lost 2 games in a row prior. They lost to the Bucks and they lost to the Chicago Bulls. So going into that game in Orlando where they played, I had a feeling, I thought the Lakers should win the game, because they have more talent on the floor. You have LeBron, you have Luka Doncic, you have Austin Reeves and all of these guys. But I do know that the Orlando Magic can play very well. And I do remember the game where the Orlando Magic beat the Lakers in LA about a month or 2 ago, right? So I remember that. So when I tuned into the game, I was kind of like watching it on and off. I saw that the Magic were playing the Lakers pretty close in the first half. And I said to myself, given the fact that the Lakers have not been able to get any distance on this team, I felt like the Orlando Magic were going to win, because usually what happens is in a game where the Lakers are definitely going to win, they're able to create distance with that team early in the first quarter or so, and then they can just kind of keep the difference, hold their lead, and then ultimately go out there and win the game. But when they went into the halftime, and I think the Lakers were only up 2 points, I think it was like 60-58. I said to myself that the Orlando Magic absolutely have a chance to beat the Lakers, and that's exactly what happened in the second half when the Orlando Magic came out there and they just, they were on fire. They were on fire, and they ended up scoring in the second half 60 to the Lakers 46. And ultimately, they ended up beating them 118-106, and everyone was reacting to it. And last night, they did an episode of Nightcap where Shannon Sharpe was up there with Chad Johnson, and they were talking about this loss. And I want you guys to listen to what Shannon Sharpe had to say after that loss last night, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Shannon here.
And then they get outscored in the third quarter by about 14, 16. And it's the third quarter again. JJ's going to have to push some different buttons because they come out lackadaisical and they let the team go on a run. And it's hard to reattach yourself to them when they get a streak like that. But give Orlando credit. They won as a matter of fact, they stopped Cleveland. They went on the road.
Yeah.
Cleveland had a 16, 17 game win streak. They went into their building and they won. So they are better than their record would indicate.
Right.
But the problem was Banchero got hurt at one point in time. Wagner got hurt at one point in time, so they haven't been able to play extended period of time together. But this is a good team. Don't let their record fool you. But the Lakers have to be disappointed. They got to play better. They're in fourth spot right now. They're 2.5 games out of the second spot. But tonight, again, it was defense. They gave up 146 Saturday night, and they gave up 118 tonight. And they had been playing really, really good defense up until that point.
Okay, now with everything that you said, they're in fourth, right? They lost tonight. You understand the problems and the woes that the Lakers are having, the inconsistencies. They want to run. You're understanding their woes coming out of halftime in the third quarter, allowing teams to always go on a run. Now think about everything you just said. I want your honest answer, your honest opinion. Is it still Lakers in 5?
Lakers in 5. Lakers in 5. Look, that's fixable. Look, that's fixable, Ocho. That's something like, look, guys, we've got to do a better job of defending.
Yes, sir.
And guys can't get broken down off the first dribble.
Right.
You get broken down in the first dribble, now you're compromised because help's coming, and now they swing the ball. They're getting wide open threes, or they're getting uncontested layups. So you can't get broken down off the first dribble. They got outscored 34-18 in the third quarter. I mean, there in no way should a Lakers team that got Luka Doncic and LeBron James on the court only score 18 points in a quarter.
Yeah.
And if you only score 18, you better make sure they don't score more than 22. Because if you do that, and I get it, the Lakers, I think they played 7 games. At one point in time, had 7 games in 10 days. But we don't do excuses here. You either win or you lose. It's a very short on sports menu at my restaurant. Only thing I got on my menu is dubs and L's. That's all you can order. Right. You can't order excuses because I don't serve it.
So you heard what Shannon Sharpe had to say there. What are my thoughts about this? I think that Shannon doesn't really analyze the Lakers with a serious eye. Half of the time, he's up there cracking jokes and being funny and all of that. When in reality, number one, you need to take the state of affairs of the Lakers more seriously, and you need to give more respect to the opponents. And this thing of Lakers in 5 it's a joke. Lakers ain't beating nobody in 5 in the playoffs. There's not, at least nobody I can foresee right now. They're not going to beat Houston in 5. They're not going to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in 5. If they played the Warriors, they're not going to beat them in 5. So I don't see that, and I think a lot of it is joking. But let's get serious here. In that game yesterday, the Lakers had players that were scoring. Luka Doncic. I mean, Luka is clearly the Lakers' best scorer. When you watch him play, he scores effortlessly. Luka had 32 points in that game. He shot 39% from the field. LeBron had 24 points in the game. He shot 50% from the field. Dorian Finney-Smith had 14. Austin Reeves had 18. And I think some other guys chipped in here and there. But the problem with the Lakers was they couldn't stop anybody. The problem was their defense. And the Lakers have players that aren't really playing great defense right now. You have that point. You have something else that I think is important to point out, and it's something that I've noticed. A team can get on a hot streak and start developing good habits. And the longer they stay on that streak, the more those habits sustain themselves. But what I think happened with the Lakers was they were on that run. I think they had won 8 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And then they started falling into this thing that one of the teams that's notorious for is the Clippers. They started low managing. LeBron started missing games. And what they started doing was throwing games, essentially. Oh, we'll lose that game. We're still fine. Oh, we'll lose that game. We're still fine. You look up and they say, oh, we lose that game. We're still fine. Oh, we lose that game. We're still fine. Right? Because we have a cushion. And now what's ended up happening is the Lakers have lost 3 in a row. But here's the most critical part of it. They risk falling from the 3rd or 4th seed all the way down to the 5th seed and potentially the 6th seed. Now, here's why this is critical. the Lakers are currently tied for 28 losses. The teams that are tied for that is the 4, and the 5th seed. But then the minute you get into that 30-loss realm, you now risk going right into the play-in, because the teams that are in the play-in picture right now are the Warriors, the Clippers who have 31 losses, the Warriors who have 30, and the Minnesota Timberwolves who have 32 losses. So if you don't correct the ship right now, you could very well find yourself in a play-in tournament. Now, let's look at some of the opponents that they have coming up. They have the Pacers coming up. I think the Pacers are, if I'm not mistaken, the Pacers should be a playoff team. Yes, they are. They're 42-29, and they've won 5 games in a row, so they're on a streak. So you have the Pacers. You have the Grizzlies, who is a team right behind you. So that's going to be a very consequential game that the Lakers need to win, right? Because if they lose that game, then for sure they're going to be the 5th seed. And then after that, you have the Rockets, who are a legitimate threat. You have another important game, which is going to be against the Golden State Warriors. You have the Pelicans, who I don't think are a real threat. But then you have the Thunder 2 times in a row. The Lakers have the Thunder 2 games in a row. Then they got the Mavericks, and then they got the Rockets. So if the Lakers are a serious team, they need to beat the Pacers, and they for damn sure need to beat the Bulls. Those are 2 games they have to win. It's not even a question about it. Because the other games against the Grizzlies, the Warriors, the Rockets, these are all teams that are competing for spots in their conference. If you mess around and lose some of those games, like go 2 and 3 out of those games, you are going to run into a buzzsaw against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the only thing that will save the Lakers in that scenario is if they sit some of their key players. If they don't, it's going to be the Lakers could very well find themselves in a play-in tournament. We're back at it. It's that point in the season again, where the Lakers are losing some games, and all of a sudden now we need to figure out whose fault it is. Right? We're right back where we always are. Well, with this team, and it's no different this time. As you guys know, the Lakers lost to the Orlando Magic yesterday in Orlando by double digits. They couldn't guard a parked car. Like, those guys are just essentially going off, and they had another big game. So this is the second time in a row that the Orlando Magic have beaten the Lakers. So now they've lost 3 games in a row. Luckily for them, they're still tied in losses for the 3rd and 4th spot with the Denver Nuggets. But they do have a pretty tough stretch coming up next. They're going to be playing the Indiana Pacers, then the Chicago Bulls, then the Golden State Warriors. And then I think they play the Pelicans after that. Then I think they play the Houston Rockets. Then they play the Oklahoma City Thunder back-to-back. And then I think they play the Rockets again. And I forgot the other team that they're playing. So they have some pretty stout competition coming down the turnpike. So anyway, so that occurs. So they then produce a show on ESPN segment featuring Carlos Boozer, Shannon Sharp, who's always twerking for LeBron, Stephen A. Smith, and Molly Karam. And they're talking about what took place. And, you know, Shannon Sharp has had this thing about Lakers in 5, Popeyes, chicken fries, whatever, Lakers in 5, right? Which is hilarious. So what then occurs? Yeah, so that happened. And they're talking about the issues with the Lakers. And then they start talking about the defense. And as Shannon Sharp is talking about the defense, Stephen A. Smith essentially cuts him off and says, wait a minute. Are you saying that LeBron James isn't playing any defense? And then Shannon Sharp was like, oh, no. LeBron plays defense and blah, blah, blah. And it kind of created this interesting back and forth that we want to touch on. Now, the reason we're talking about this is because I have a larger point that I want to get to. So what we want to do is I want to play what these guys said here. Then we're going to come back and really get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. Take a listen to what these guys had to say here.
So I still got the Lakers as the second best team in the West when the dust settles. That's how I feel about them. As long as they don't have to face OKC, I would pick them against anybody in the West. I think they get slaughtered in the finals by the Boston Celtics. I think they get slaughtered. And I think they lose to OKC. But I got them being better than anybody else in the Western Conference. See, I'm going to say that. Shannon, Lakers are 5. He don't mean it, y'all.
Let's hear what the former NBA player has to say about it. Carlos, where are you on this?
They've been great. When they had that stretch of winning 8 in a row, their defense was #1 in the league. They were rebounding the basketball. They were getting down passing lanes. Their defense was creating offense, which we like to see. They got 2 of the best guys on the planet with the ball in their hand. Luka and LeBron make great decisions. They score for themselves. They score for their teammates. They get everybody open. These last couple games, to Shannon's point, they gave up 70 points in the paint to the Chicago Bulls, who are fighting for the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference. They got, I mean, let's call it what it is. Paolo and Franz Wagner are ballers in Orlando. There was a stretch in that third quarter where it was 41-15 in Orlando Magic's favor. They took control of that basketball game going into the fourth quarter. They got to get their defense together. I know Rui Hachimura is back, which is a great sign. He's got to get back to playing the way he was playing before he got hurt. LeBron's back now. I know you want to go into the playoffs as healthy as possible, but you also want to go into the playoffs like 3rd, 4th, 5th seed. You don't want to drop all the way down to the 6th, 7th seed, right? You got 10 games left. You want to go into the playoffs feeling well so JJ has a good feeling for his team in the playoffs.
Well, the problem that's happening, guys, is that if you look at the third quarter, when their offense starting to struggle, they just start playing defense. They're looking at the official. I got fouled. They got complained, and guys are getting out in transition and laying the ball up. Guys are getting uncontested shots. So what's happening is they're allowing their offense to impact their defense, and you can't have that. Just defend. Stephen, you mentioned like LeBron and Luka, they've shot 50%. Hell, but they're letting the other team shoot 60%. That's why you getting blown out by the number you get blown out. Yeah, you can shoot 50%, and that's really good. But if you let...
Whoa. I want to make sure I caught something that my ears heard correctly. Are you saying that LeBron hasn't been playing defense?
No, LeBron, listen, we know this. I've seen LeBron before have this injury. It takes him like 4 or 5 games because the last thing you want to do, Boo, you know you probably had this growing injury, is that anything sudden, that's what happens with growing. So it's going to take him a while to get like, you know what, I'm 100%. Because in that footage that we showed, did you see how he was scrambling? When they knocked the ball out of Aaron Gordon's on that dunk, did you see how he was all over the court? Only water covers more of the earth than LeBron James in his prime. You know he had 1/4 and the water covered 3/4. That was the only thing that covered more of the earth than GOAT James. Don't do that, Stephen A. He'll be just fine. You watch us. Don't matter.
So you heard what those guys had to say there. I have a lot of thoughts about this. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the makeup of these players. In specific, let's speak about Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves. We have known historically that Luka is not a good defender. Okay, we know this. We knew this before he even became a Laker. One of the reasons why the Dallas Mavericks surrounded him by people that can defend, like Dorian Finney-Smith, P.J. Washington, some other players that I can't think of right now. So they had players on the roster that could defend at a high level, some bigs out there that could cover up for some of his deficiencies. So then what happens? You bring Luka on a team, you replace him for a defensive stalwart in Anthony Davis. So you bring Luka on the team. He's then playing with Austin Reeves, who's also not known for being a defender and is also he's not like a huge guard, right? But he's not known for being a defender, more of a playmaker, scorer, etc. Then you have LeBron James. Now, LeBron James hasn't played any defense in years. Not months, in years. LeBron plays defense in spots. If you can notice that a highlight dunk is about to take place and he can block it, he'll play defense there. He'll play defense for a play or two. Usually what happens, and LeBron and Luka have this same thing in common. They'll play fake defense, right? They usually can never play man-to-man defense. And shout out to Sports and Fitness Rants. He broke this down. I mean, this is something we knew, but he broke it down and he brought it to my recollection. Essentially, what he was saying is that LeBron is always playing. It always looks like he's in the zone, while everybody else is man-to-man, right? And what does that mean, right? Zone, you're always helping. You're always helping. You're not really sticking to a particular player. You're more focused on the drive. You're moving to where the ball is moving. But when you're playing man-to-man and you're playing like a zone, you're just out there looking like a free safety. You're not guarding your man. And what happens? Usually you end up getting back cuts and all of that. So what usually happens is Luke and LeBron play similar defense. Defenders are always back cutting them, breaking them down. They rarely make multiple efforts defensively. So when they get broken down, the player scores. And instead of them getting back on defense, what do they normally do? They start complaining to the refs. The two of them have this in common. The two of them. Now, Shannon is talking about LeBron has covered the earth with defense and all of this nonsense. LeBron has played in the NBA for 22 years. Okay? Going on 22 years. In those 22 years, do you know how many all-defensive teams LeBron has made? 6. In 22 years, LeBron has made 6. That's about 25, basically about 75% of the time LeBron has been a basketball player, he has not been an all-NBA defender, caliber defender. For about 75% of his career. So people are talking like this has been a great defender all this time, when in reality he hasn't. And he never was. He played defense for some years. For some years. But to say like, oh, LeBron, when? What are you talking about? The dude has made 6 all-defensive teams. 6 all-defensive teams. So LeBron has never been known for defense, although they market him like, oh, you could play 5. Really? Really? LeBron can guard 1 to 5. You gonna put LeBron James on a prime Chris Paul in the series? Are you gonna do that? You gonna put LeBron James on Tim Duncan? You gonna put LeBron James on Hakeem Olajuwon? You would put LeBron on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? You would put LeBron James on Shaq? Like, what are we talking about? This is just a bunch of nonsense, as they usually spew. Oh, you mean you can guard all the really? You would put LeBron in a series on Shaq or Hakeem? Of course you wouldn't. But it feels good to say it. It feels good. These dudes be playing with themselves when they be saying it. Feels good to them. So this thing of them, oh, they don't play. That's the team they built. The fact is they traded offense and playmaking for defense and offense in Anthony Davis. This is what you got. You got one guy that doesn't play defense. You got another guy that has never played defense. Enjoy.